Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to the Alldus podcast, AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is David Petrou. David is the founder and CEO at Continua AI. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, John.
So we got lots to cover in tight time, so let's jump straight in. Let's start with yourself, please, as we do with all of our guests. Could you tell us a little bit about your background in technology and what your journey has been from where you started, some of the roles you've held along the way, and what's led you to where you are today as the founder and CEO at Continua?
Yeah, gosh. Well, I guess where it started is that I had a home computer and I would type in programs from the backs of magazines like PC Magazine and Compute. Went to Carnegie Mellon, got my PhD there in computers. After that, went straight to Google. Was at Google for 17 and a half years. I decided in early 2023 that it would be the right thing for me to do to start my own company. My father was an inventor and really instilled in me the idea of being an entrepreneur, of taking ideas farther than they've been before, and I felt like the time was right to do it. So now I run Continua AI. We're mostly in New York. We have someone in Seattle as well. And we're trying to push the boundaries of what could be done in AI and bring AI into the context of group chat.
So let's jump straight into that. Obviously, your background in Google, when we look at some of the most transformative and impactful companies in technology, many of the founders had a stint at Google. So it's like a breeding ground for future entrepreneurs. Talk to us about the mission in more detail. What problem are you tackling? What are you trying to solve? And then we can jump into how Continua AI is doing so.
I think everyone would agree that AI has revolutionized everything. It's even a little bit weird saying that because syntactically, I don't even know if it adds up. AI has been around for a very long time, but there were reasons to be skeptical. You know, we talk about the AI dark ages, maybe in the 80s, and then another one that happened in the late 90s. Then with enough scale in both compute and in data, we saw, a huge uptake. ImageNet just it was being crushed by CNNs in say around 2012. And interestingly, one of the projects that I was a founder on at Google was Google Goggles, which was the world's first universal mobile visual search engine. So the idea of being able to take your phone, point it at something, take a picture, and then recognize an object. It worked really, really well for a certain class of objects, say planar two-dimensional objects like CD covers or book covers, and it worked really bad on contour-defined objects like, say, animals, distinguishing between a cat and a dog and so forth. And then the revolution at that time made it possible to recognize almost anything. Now you would know this product at Google as Google Lens. So we see AI being able to understand the external world and being able to understand context. And we see it in the chatbots that came out a few years ago that I think has touched the lives of almost everybody. With that background, what we noticed at Continua is that these models are being used in what you might call single player mode, where you're chatting with ChatGPT, you say something, it responds, it's call and response. And it seems like we've left a huge opportunity on the table, which is the group scenario. So if you think about how human progress has happened over millennia, it's been not because of one genius here or there, but because we work in a society, in small groups, larger groups, really big groups. In fact, you might say that the evolution of our brains themselves, our brains have grown to model, theory of mind. What is somebody else thinking about? What is someone thinking about what I'm thinking about? And recursively, this has increased what you might call is often referred to as the Dunbar number, how many relationships we can keep in our mind at any given point in time. So we're taking AI in the sort of like chatbot text context and enlarging the market to these group scenarios. It's a new intelligence. It's not human. It's foreign, but we believe it's synergistic to human intelligence and can help groups in a variety of ways. So in sum, Continua is about bringing AI to the context of group chat.
It's fascinating, and obviously the whole idea was really birthed out of the possibilities of the emerging technology and what's possible. And organizations and institutions are now having to rethink what is possible and capable with the use of the AI advancements. Help us visualize possible use cases for Continua in the current today as we talk, Q4 of 2025. What practical benefits could a customer benefit from working with Continua? What would be the problem or current status that they take to you, and with the impact of Continua AI, what comes out the other side?
That's right. So we are a B2C company. So for us, the customer or client are end users.
Yeah.
And so just as an end user might use ChatGPT for a huge number of things, you can use Continua for a huge number of things. And it's in general availability. Anybody can use it. It's as simple as adding a phone number to a group chat. So there's nothing to download. There's no special software. You can go to our website and you'll see the phone number, and you can just immediately add it to your iMessage or Android messages applications and start chatting with it. The real benefit is in the group context. That's the differentiator. So suppose you and a significant other are planning a vacation. You can start up a group chat with Continua and start discussing, okay, well, where should we go? Last year we went to Paris. This year, should we go somewhere else? Should we go to the same place?
Mm-hmm.
Should we go to the mountains? Should we go to the sea? What are the dates that were available? What are the school holidays that we need to plan around? And start to develop all this context, and then Continua participates with you. And it's really smart. That's the real differentiator. It has a kind of social etiquette or social intelligence or machine etiquette built into it. The way we like to think about it is, if you were to, for example, want to hire someone to work with you, what would be the ideal qualities of a new employee in terms of how they show up in a group context? You'd want someone who, in a group meeting, sits quietly if they have nothing to say, speaks up when they can improve the conversation or push the conversation forward, listens really carefully because what they might hear today might help them do their job tomorrow. And last but not least, you'd want an employee who asks questions if they don't understand what's being spoken about at that moment in time. So you can imagine in this context of someone and their significant other planning travel, the Continua agent, if it needs to know a little bit more, if it needs to understand your preferences, it'll ask that information. And it'll remember it because maybe you're going to plan a trip in the future, or maybe you're going to want some recommendation of a restaurant to go to in a city that you traveled to before. It will hang back if you and your partner start talking about stuff unrelated to the trip. So it has that kind of social etiquette to know when to speak and when not to speak. And you don't even have to mention it. You don't have to say @Continua, and sometimes you don't even have to say Continua at all. It's smart enough to know when it should be entering the conversation versus hanging back. So we went a
incredible.
bit deep on the trip planning, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm painting a picture of where this can fit in your
So
life.
many light bulbs are going off for me right now on how this could have a positive impact in someone's life day to day, from attention to detail, summary of conversations, coordination, planning. When we think of AI being the bridge towards sci-fi, and we think of all the interesting Hollywood adaptations of AI assistant. This is real life plug-in now, and you don't need to have a Tony Stark budget to benefit from Continua. So I can see the multitude of use cases. When you think about where this can evolve, and you think of the near-term growth that Continua has had, I know you've been working diligently behind the scenes and fundraising and bringing in incredible AI talent. So when you look at the where you are today and the near-term roadmap, what are you hoping to do? What are you excited about?
Yeah, so a lot of things. First of all, the product is quite sticky. We're seeing for all of those use cases that you mentioned around tracking information, around lists, summarizations. We also can create artifacts, and those artifacts we create Google Documents. So again, there's no extra application you need to install. Continua can
Mm.
summarize whether it's what restaurants you want to go to, or what books to read, or what movies your social group wants to watch. All of this
Yeah.
can be placed in a Google document. We also enable the user to connect to their Gmail and connect their calendar. We also go really deep on games as well. Continua, this goes beyond the practical and utility aspect that we were talking about around trip planning to more of
Yeah.
the emotional side. You can play Oregon Trail with Continua and a group of friends. And all of these things for us is about helping realize the fullness of human to human communication. That's really what our mission here is with Continua. Now, what we see in terms of moving forward, we ask ourselves questions of, well, where else can an AI collaborate in a group context? This meeting that we're having right now is an example of a social context. There's a lot of great startups out there that are adding the ability to create meeting summaries and action items after meetings. But for us, the connection with Continua is, what if Continua can be a quiet listener in the chat, in the video chat itself,
Yeah.
and raise its hand if it has something to offer in real time to the conversation. So that's where we see ourselves going, is beyond the group chat, but to group interactions in general.
And the sky is the limit for use case possibilities when you think about that evolution of continuous impact. Um, any interaction in technology, Continua could have a positive impact. And given its ability to have large visibility of the historical interactions, it can make recommendations and chime in. So it's a really, really innovative and exciting application for AI. Can you talk to us a little bit about the stickiness and traction and what you're hearing from some of the early use cases, and um, why you got such incredible backing from the network of your community? Because there's a lot of noise, as we know, in AI startups, and not all noise is created equal. But I know from your own background and looking at the people who've supported it, this really feels like it is going places. It's got that early traction, and the possible future use cases means that everyone could benefit from Continua right now, let alone future use cases.
Yeah, sure. So I would say a few things. First is that it's really easy to use, right? So it's natural language, anybody can use it, and there's nothing to download. You just add a phone number to a group chat like you would add a person to a group
Yeah.
chat. And then on the stickiness front, there's just so many coordination problems that people have, and Continua helps in those. That leads to people returning to interact with Continua in these group chats. Household management, it's almost like having a household PM
Yeah.
to figure out, okay, well, what's the trash schedule and who's picking up the kids and things of that nature. Um, and then these fun use cases I was describing before around games. Something else that I think is important if we think about just how people are socializing in general in this day and age. Sometimes people need a little bit of a push to actually get outside and do something. So we've had instances where people use Continua just to set up reminders so that they go out to go grab a beer one night. So, friends saying, "Hey, Continuum once a month, just text us like we get off our butts and go outside." So again, this comes back to the notion of helping to realize the fullness of human to human connection, and how can an AI almost paradoxically help with that?
Yeah. David, this should be on every phone right now. I'm thinking of future use cases for myself. Do you see a possibility down the road where Continue it could not only be on text and group chats, but in some sort of business sense, whether it be on Slack or some of the other professional settings where it could have just as big an impact?
That's a great question, John. Right now, we actually have two integrations. One is with basic texting. The other is in Discord. So if you have a Discord server, you can add Continua to that.
Yeah.
We're working on a Slack integration as well. We actually use that internally at Continua, and we're hoping to launch that in the not too distant future.
I want to bring it back to the people side of it, because the idea makes all the sense in the world. The concept is one where anyone listening to this can see a whole list of potential benefits. The idea is one thing, it's the build and getting it working is often the biggest hurdle. You've done that successfully, in part because of your leadership, but also the ability to bring in a talented team around you. Talk to us a little bit about the environment, the culture, and the backgrounds of the individuals who you've brought in to help bring Continua to life.
Sure. And just to touch on the first point you made, what we have done here, and obviously it's a continuously evolving and improving system. What we've done it wasn't a trivial thing. We're not a thin wrapper over any given LLM that's out there. There are a lot of moving parts. We sort of had to break the LLM's brain to understand groups of people interacting at the same time. We have a bunch of fine tunes that we run as well. So this is something that requires some care. Existing LLMs are instruction tuned for single user, single agent, call and response, and that's the last thing that you want in a group context. To get to where we are now, absolutely, I would triple underscore, it's about the team. We take the whole interview process really, really seriously. We are quite deliberate. It's not about having, the smartest person in the world. It's about, can you work in a team? Do we get along? Do we communicate well? Communication is a huge thing. How do we know that, you can trust someone else in the team so they don't drop the ball on something, and vice versa? I think it's incredibly stimulating being in the startup environment. I was in big tech for the entirety of my career prior to starting Continua, and it's amazing. We all code. I code. I'm a technical founder. Every day I code. It's so refreshing being in this context where our calendars are open, as opposed to big tech where it's a parking lot.
Yeah.
And so we get to have a tremendous amount of fun. And we go to lunch every Thursday all together here in New York. We are in the office most days of the week. I think that the in-person really, really matters.
Especially early on. Yeah.
Especially early on. I jokingly call our office the library, because sometimes it's just so we're all there just working our butts off typing, and you can hear a pin drop. Yeah.
I love it. You've already made some incredible hires for your core team, but I know there's a roadmap and future opportunities going to come available. speaking to an audience of potential future employees, what are some of the areas that you're going to need to strengthen the existing team in the near term? And when you think back to the critical hires that you've made, when you're speaking to somebody who you feel is a value add to the team, what is it that you tell them about the environment, the mission, the project that gets them excited enough to join Continua over some of your companies? So twofold question there. So one, what are the future opportunities? And two, speaking to an audience of potential future employees.
Sure. I'll start with the second first. I would say that the ways in which I talk about Continua to potential employees that we want to hire is that the opportunity is so clear in front of us on how, in order to achieve AGI, you have to crack what we call social AI. You can't get to AGI without building an AI that understands the nuance of social interactions. We feel that that's the most under-addressed aspect in the march to AGI, number one. Number two, we see strong retention in our user base, so we feel that we have product market fit. Number three, the team is a very well-rounded team. Some people on the team have a lot of industry experience. Some have more startup experience. We vary in age. We think it's a great environment for someone to come into. We're all learning from each other. I'm learning from the people that we hire as much as they might learn from me. It's a really collaborative group. So that's how I talk about Continua. As far as the roles, we have so much work to get done. So we're hiring full stack. We're hiring machine learning engineers / researchers. And yeah, if this is something that you have a background in, please write us. We'd love to hear from you.
David, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story, sharing your own background. You know, obviously the time spent at Google armed you to take an idea like Continua AI from idea to actual in production, and it's an incredible use case of what AI can do that I feel should be on everyone's technology, should be on everyone's phone, everyone's laptop, desktop, and I'm excited to see it happen over time, because speaking from a consumer, I know I would benefit tremendously, and I'm sure that lots of others will too. So happy that we can get this story out there, and most importantly, for people who are interested in the space and want to advance their own career, this sounds like an incredible place to do it. So thank you so much, David. Best of luck to you and the team, and look forward to having you back on the show again in the near future.
It's fantastic, John. I had a great time. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.